will come to fruition?
If we keep getting if we increase the successes we are getting now in this, because we are working, there's work in progress. It hasn't landed successes. But when we land those successes, give it between 18 months, 12 to 18 months, the needle will begin to shift a bit. Because the private sector is really, and then again, of course, government has to also, in addition to all of these things, signaling is also very important. We will still expect government to deliver the right signals to then encourage these things.
You know, you said something earlier. Let me just take you back a bit, where you talked about no framework for implementation of policy.
Governance framework, yes.
Governance framework. And you're saying government will still have to give this signal. Is there a framework for that signal to come?
The framework for that signal to come.
When I say framework here, holistic.
The first of all, what do I mean by signaling? The things that the president himself will say is very important.
And what the minister or whichever minister is doing.
There must be a link between what the president is saying and what the ministers are doing.
For instance, if there's devaluation or floating of currency,
the president shouldn't be seen to be saying, "I'm still not comfortable with this." Is that what you're saying? Something like that, yes.
But okay, when you when you talk about this, when you talk about this, you see, there has to be a link between what the president is saying and what his ministers are saying. What about those who are implementing, the civil servants? Where are you not looking at that link as well? Because the president might say one thing, the minister might say the same thing with the president, possibly, or a different thing, and then the civil servant are possibly seeking their own thing. So how would all that tie into this framework for implementation?
Look, well, when I said I identified these three constraints, capacity is an issue. We need massive public sector reforms. There is a bureau for public sector reforms now. If you ask me, they are not moving as fast as they should move. We need deep, massive public sector reforms to enable the public service to be able to deliver on policies. We don't really have it now. A lot of the delivery that we have now is actually dependent on the political appointees. You have a good minister in the ministry, then you begin to see results. If you don't have a good minister in that ministry, then you won't see results.
Can you define good? Sorry.
I mean, if you have a minister who knows what he's doing, who understands the policies, understands the implementation framework, all that needs to be done, well, of course, they have been there. They have to be there. There has to be a handshake between politics and policy. So when you have a minister who is clear-minded about what needs to be done in his or her sector, then you will find the public servants responding. But if you don't have that, then you have our dream team.
So we're also talking about leadership within the ministries, because some people will say that it's a question of leadership. Are we also willing to be patient? You know, because if you say, I want to achieve these results with the people in my ministry and I want them to be able to deliver, that will take time, because this capacity is not going to be built overnight, will it? Are we willing to have that patience to see how it is that we can develop capacity within the civil service, or would you say abandon it altogether and get people from outside?
If you look at our history, Nigerians have a good tradition of being patient. Really. When Nigerians have it, it's like when the president...
It's a bad habit now.
No. It's good, because you have to have that virtue. When the president came, you can't take it away from him. Nigerians saw in him a man of integrity. Whether you liked him or not, whether you voted for him or not, Nigerians saw in him a president that is not corrupt or incorruptible. So they were willing to give him, even when Obasanjo came in 1999, check, because I normally like to go back in history. His honeymoon, he had a good honeymoon period. Nigerians were willing to give him a chance. But Nigerians are also knowledgeable enough to know when you have gone off track. And then they begin to respond. That is not impatience. They have information.
Would you say that they're going off track?
Right now? Well, what I will say with this particular government is that they were slow in taking off. That's essentially the truth. They were very slow. That's why when people try to assess the government, I say, decouple it. You assess the presidency and assess the government. We had a presidency May 29th. We had a government November 6th. And that's a huge gap.
Pardon me, guys. So, let me bring this in. How can we talk about infrastructure without talking about the roads? Is NESG doing anything, because you have several roundtable, business roundtable, national assembly? What about the roads?
Part of the bills we talked about, we have 2 road sector reform bills. We met with the minister. He has his own idea about what the road sector reform legislation should be. But as we speak at the National Assembly, there are 2 road sector bills. The Road Funds Bill and the Federal Roads Authority Bill. Now, why do we want the Road Fund Bill? If you check, when we have made progress in roads rehabilitation, PTF, Shopee, Why? We had funds sitting there that could be deployed with or without seasonal challenges. The roads, unfortunately, whenever you have the rains, you can't do much. So now we have an appropriation process that says a budget is passed about April or May, the rains are already here, we can't do anything. So we want to create a fund that can be used year in, year out, especially during the dry season, on road rehabilitation. We did it with PTF, we did it with Shopee. That's what the road fund is supposed to be. Guess what? The provision for that is already in place. It says, I think 5% of whatever you pay at the pump for fuel goes into that road fund. That has always been there. But
has it been going there?
It hasn't been, because there is no road fund and there's no road fund board. So it's been going into the federation account and probably being appropriated into other sectors of the economy. But we now say, let us have a legislation that traps that and create that permanent fund. The states can access it. That's what the legislation says. States will be able to access it. The federal government will have access to it. And then we can begin not just rehabilitating roads, but why can't we even talk about building new highways? When was the last time?
Is this meeting going on within you and the group and the ministry?
Yes, like I said, we met with the Minister of Works, but he has a different mindset, which, I mean, we will all work with it. He looks more like a comprehensive road sector reform bill. Pretty much the one we have in the electric power sector. You know, the EPSR Act is an omnibus bill for the entire sector. So he's looking at a bill like that that will just capture the entire road sector. There's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, with the challenges that we've had in implementing the EPSR, once we put that in place, then maybe we can find a common ground between what the minister wants and what we have been pushing for.
Nana Anyimode, consultant, IPC-NESG, thank you for coming on this morning. We will be back in just a moment. Do join us again.